Welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Someone Six Sports. Today, my special guest is Greg Tompsett from the Cover One Sports Network, and we'll be talking Buffalo Bills football.
Appreciate having me on, man. Looking forward to it.
What does defeating New England in the manner Buffalo did mean for Bills Mafia?
I certainly think it was a big relief. Something that they've been the bully on the block for 20 years now, and watching them just kind of beat us up over and over and over again, to be able to go in there. It was Belichick's second worst loss ever, including his 5 years in Cleveland, the worst loss ever in Gillette Stadium. To be able to go in there and just dominate and control everything from start to finish, it was certainly a great feeling as a fan and somebody who spends as much time as I do analyzing and tracking the team. It was awesome. So I know I could tell online and from my family and all the text messages and Facebook and Twitter and everywhere that it's all around. I think it was a very well-deserved celebration for Bills Mafia, and it was awesome to see.
Yeah, that was a good game yesterday for Josh Allen and the offense too.
Oh gosh, it was unbelievable to see them. Belichick had even had some pretty strong performances against Josh, and he's one of the greatest football minds in history. He knows the game better than almost anyone who's ever lived. And even though he's a little shorthanded from what they've had historically, he still made me nervous about what he was going to be able to do to control this offense. And to have Josh go out there with 75% completion percentage, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, another 35 yards rushing, and not even play most of the fourth quarter, that was ridiculously impressive. So doing that against Bill Belichick matters a lot, and that's something that I can't imagine how they could be any more confident moving forward.
What does it mean for the team and their expectations in the future?
So I think it's something where, even though they're doing well in winning games, you still have those things in your mind like, oh, are we going to fall back behind? So there's a lot of things going into this game yesterday that historically would have made me very nervous that, Bill Belichick was an underdog at home, and that, 85% of the money being bet on the game was being bet on the Bills, and that, they put up a freaking billboard 4 minutes away from their stadium, and all the Patriots players, all they were hearing all week was how the Bills were one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFL. To have all those things happen, and they still went out there and controlled and dominated that game and won by 29 points, that has to give them a ton of confidence going forward, that they're not going to fall into those historic trap game kind of things. They're not going to get too high and, believe the hype for their own team, that they know they have to go out there and all the cliche things people give Sean McDermott a hard time for about you got to go 1-0 every week and all those different things. They're doing that. They're taking it seriously. They're remaining humble, and that, I think Sean McDermott's a pain to be able to watch film with, and he's going to pick out things from that game that they need to do better. And he already did it in the press conference last night. And I just listened to the presser here this afternoon. He's still going to find things to be able to tell them they need to work on and improve and correct. So I think Bills fans should feel really confident about that the team is taking this approach, and that they're not the kind of team that's going to slip up or take things for granted. It doesn't mean they're going to, never lose again. It just means that I don't think they're going to give games away.
What are your predictions of what we will be seeing going into the playoffs?
So I think this week's going to be a little weird. I'm curious to see how they play it with some of these things, but I think we should expect um a playoff win. I think that we should expect a good run here. And I think it's fun that it's possible the Bills could go to the Super Bowl and win. That's crazy to say out loud. And that as a Bills fan, that's not just an insane homer thing to say. No, the Bills might win the Super Bowl. Like, that's possible. Kansas City's still really good. The Packers are still really, really good. I don't think there's any easy teams in the AFC. It's going to be tough no matter who they play. Tennessee's good. Indianapolis has looked good. Pittsburgh came back and won a game. Cleveland and Baltimore have had good games. There's no easy path here, but the Bills, you can make a good argument. They're the best team in football right now. So I think Bills fans should expect a playoff win. I think it's okay to expect multiple playoff wins. If they go and lose to the Chiefs in the conference championship game, that's not some disaster of a season. That's just two good teams, and one of them was going to lose. And I think that's awesome that it's okay to have higher expectations about what this team is going to be. So I think that's very possible. I expect the team to go to the AFC Championship game. I expect them to give the Chiefs all they can handle, and I won't be shocked if they get past them and get to the Super Bowl.
Do you have any preferred opponents or strong feelings on whether they should play or rest starters in week 17?
I've had this debate a lot online today. A lot of people have strong feelings one way or the other. I totally get it that some people believe strongly that they need to go full bore, keep the momentum going, keep the chemistry going, and want to keep everybody hot going into the playoffs. I don't think that's crazy. I also pretty strongly believe that if you don't have Josh Allen or Stephon Diggs, nothing in the playoffs is going to matter. So how silly would everyone feel if we played everybody all game long in week 17 and somebody got dinged up or hurt? I think there's a balance. I think you can go through all the motions. They can do all the normal practice reps. You can get all the pregame film breakdown, all the readiness. I think you can go through the pregame warmups. I think you can keep a lot of that chemistry going. I wouldn't mind Josh Allen getting a drive or two with John Brown. With John Brown coming back from injury, I'd like to see them get a drive or two together. Anyone that is dinged up should sit. Jordan Poyer should sit. Cole Beasley should sit. Anyone who, Matt Milano should sit. Anyone that we, aren't 100% sure of should sit the game. All the starters should play a drive or two, get themselves, a little sweat going, and then sit down and rest and enjoy the rest that they've earned and deserved. And then we'll still root for our depth and our backups to beat the Dolphins. And that, we're still going to try to win that game. They've already announced that Mason Rudolph is starting for Pittsburgh and that Pittsburgh is going to be sitting a lot of people. If Pittsburgh loses, the Bills could rest all their starters and still get the number 2 seed. And you can't, and not really improve our standing any further. So, I'm not one who feels super strongly one way or the other, but I care about winning the Super Bowl more than I care about winning week 17. So if keeping guys healthy helps with, going on a playoff run, I'd rather do that. As far as opponents and who they played, I don't think there's any bad teams that are going to make the playoffs in the AFC. Do I think that the Titans or the Ravens are a little bit better than the Dolphins or the Browns? Yeah, probably a little bit, but I don't think it's a huge difference. I don't think there's a big deal. And I think that it's certainly something where there's no easy spot. There's no, the Redskins or the Eagles or the Cowboys or one of those NFC East teams or the Bears in the NFC. We don't have any of those in the AFC. There's no cakewalk teams like that where teams are just going to smoke somebody in the first round of the playoffs. There's none of that in the AFC. Every team that makes the playoffs in the AFC is going to be good, and heck, it's possible that an 11-5 team doesn't even make the playoffs in the AFC. So I'm not terribly concerned. I guess if you give me my choice, I guess I'd play the Dolphins again and just try to give them 3 losses in one season. But I think no matter who the Bills play, they can beat any team in the NFL, and Bills fans should not be afraid of anyone or rooting or hoping for one path versus the other. I think all teams that make the playoffs in the AFC are going to be good.
Do you have any questions for me before we wrap this up?
So I know you're just getting into things here, getting your show started and everything. How has it been going as a new podcast host and with getting guests lined up? And do you have any questions for me on the way that you've gone about trying to get yourself rolling here in the podcast world?
I think it's been going pretty good so far with getting the guests and setting them up and talking to them.
Good. And I give, obviously a lot of people reach out and ask about different tips and recommendations and things like that. And I always tell people, just find things that you're passionate about and that you care about. And if you put time and energy into it, people will check it out, and you'll get more comfortable and casual about it as you go, as you get more reps going. So, just stick to it, keep kind of putting in those reps and keep, putting in the time, getting more comfortable, talking and preparing and everything like that. And you'll be in good shape.
Thank you to my special guest, Greg Tompsett, from the Cumberland Sports Network, for joining me tonight. Go Bills and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.